Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I never expected a Saturday night to change everything, but that was a night my life quietly fractured. My name is Daniel. I'm 38, and I have been married to Emily for 12 years. Our marriage wasn't perfect. What marriage ever is? But I believed in it. I believed in us. Emily had always been lively, magnetic in a subtle way, the kind of woman who could light up a room without trying. And I had always been steady, dependable, the calm in her storm, the one who kept life anchored. We had built a home, shared routines, and survived arguments that should have ended us. I thought we were unshakable. She had been invited to a friend's wedding a few towns over. I hadn't been included. Some of my friends didn't know them, and honestly, weddings had never been my thing. I didn't mind. I told her to go, enjoy herself, have fun. I even offered to drive her, but she insisted she could manage alone. I watched her leave with a smile, kissed her cheek, told her to dance like nobody was watching. Everything seemed ordinary enough to lull me into belief that I'd be the one welcoming her back with the same embrace I always gave. The text came later that night. A single message. Had a blast. Drinks, dancing, you know me. I smiled, imagined her laughing with her friends, and went to bed. I didn't see the warning signs in that casual tone. I didn't feel the subtle shift yet. The next morning, she walked in carrying a small, expensive-looking box and a bottle of perfume. She smelled different, more floral, more deliberate. It wasn't something I could put my finger on immediately, but I noticed. And then came the story she told, casually dropping names of people she had met at the wedding. Male names mostly. She laughed at jokes that weren't funny to anyone else, her eyes lingering in ways they hadn't before. My stomach tightened, and I forced myself to breathe. I told myself I was overreacting. I was Daniel, calm, rational, composed. I could handle this. Days went by. I began noticing her patterns. Late nights texting, unexplained outings, sudden laughter at her phone. I asked her casually, "Everything okay at work? Friends? Drinks again?" She smiled and said, "Don't worry, Daniel. You're imagining things." That smile, warm and dismissive, it burned. The first seeds of doubt were planted. Though I tried to dismiss them, tried to chalk them up to my imagination. Then came Thursday. Thursday was a pivot I wish I could unsee. She came home, dressed as though she had a date. My voice caught in my throat when I asked, "Emily, what's this?" She laughed, light, almost musical, and said, "It's just a dinner with colleagues." Her eyes didn't meet mine. Her lips moved with a practiced casualness I had never seen before. Something in my chest tightened. I wanted to pull her aside, to hold her and ask if I was losing her. But the words wouldn't come out. They were trapped behind an invisible wall of betrayal that had been quietly rising over the past week. I followed her to the kitchen after dinner, the one place where we always talked. She was scrolling on her phone, ignoring me completely. I asked again, trying to stay calm, "Emily, can we talk?" She looked up, eyes cold now, and said, "Not tonight, Daniel. I just need space." That phrase, space, echoed in my head, but I didn't press it. I shouldn't have. I let her retreat, but I started noticing things I could no longer ignore. The subtle messages hidden in her laughter, the smell of cologne I didn't recognize, the way she avoided my touch. I confronted her one evening gently, hoping to salvage what I could. "Are you happy? Are we okay?" She didn't flinch, didn't show hesitation. She just smiled, that same carefully constructed smile, and said, "I think you already know the answer, Daniel." Her words were like knives wrapped in silk. I spent that night awake, walking through our home, touching objects she had touched, smelling her perfume on things she shouldn't have left around. Every room screamed the truth I didn't want to acknowledge. Emily wasn't just distant. She had been reaching out elsewhere. The realization was crushing, but clarity came with the weight of betrayal. It wasn't the absence of fireworks that hurt. It was the presence of someone else she had invited into what should have been ours. By the weekend, I had made a decision, one I had avoided for weeks, hoping against hope that it wouldn't come to this. I filed for divorce. Not out of anger, not in rage, but out of a quiet, unyielding certainty that some things, once broken, cannot be repaired. The papers were drafted, signed, and delivered. Emily didn't scream, didn't cry. She just looked at me with a mixture of surprise and indifference, as if she had known all along that I would see through her, that I would reclaim myself before she could. The morning after filing, I walked through the house one last time, letting the silence sink in. Each room whispered memories. Each corner held laughter now turned hollow. But beneath the grief was a strange relief. I hadn't lost love. I had simply reclaimed myself. Emily might have carried back more than memories from that wedding, but I had brought back clarity, self-respect, and the knowledge that sometimes letting go is the only act of love that remains. The days after filing felt surreal. I moved through the motions, work, errands, friends, but everything carried a hollow edge. I kept replaying the wedding in my head, the way Emily had returned change, the subtle shift in her demeanor that I had ignored for too long. Friends called, asking how I was coping, but I couldn't explain. How do you explain that the person you trusted, the person you built your life around, had quietly rewritten your story without a single argument, without a confession? Emily didn't fight the divorce. She didn't contest the papers or hire a lawyer initially. Instead, she retreated to her new circle, her new friends, her new life. It was a strange kind of calm for me. I felt untethered at first, drifting through our home like a ghost in my own life. But then clarity began to bloom. I was no longer defined by her choices, by the betrayal that had once hollowed me. I was Daniel, still whole, still capable of building something meaningful again. The first confrontation came unexpectedly. A week after filing, I ran into her at a cafe near our old neighborhood. She was with a man I didn't recognize, laughing freely, the same easy laughter she used to reserve for me. Something inside me twisted. My instinct screamed confrontation, but my mind held me back. I remember the quiet dignity of my decision, the fact that I had left with clarity, not chaos. She spotted me instantly. Her smile faltered, a fraction of doubt crossing her face. I approached calmly. "Emily," I said. Her eyes flicked briefly to the man beside her, who tensed and then back to me. "Daniel." Her voice was measured, polite, almost distant. "I filed the papers," I said simply. "It's done." She nodded, as though confirming a fact rather than acknowledging a person. "Yes," she said, "I know." The man beside her looked between us, sensing the tension, but saying nothing. Emily leaned slightly toward me, perhaps expecting an argument, perhaps hoping to invoke guilt. But I didn't give her that. "I hope you find what you're looking for," I said. "I truly do." Her eyes widened slightly. That was the only reaction I allowed myself to notice. She had expected anger, a scene, a plea, but there was none. Only clarity, only the knowledge that I had reclaimed my life. I turned and walked away, leaving her in that suspended moment of realization that she had lost something irreplaceable. Over the next few months, I reorganized my life. The house felt empty, but it was no longer oppressive. I filled the spaces with my own choices. Painting, music, books I had always wanted to read, trips I had shelved for later. And slowly, I noticed a shift within myself. I laughed more freely, spoke with confidence, and realized that the absence of Emily's betrayal didn't leave a void. It left space for growth. Emily attempted contact a few times. Texts at odd hours, casual mentions of needing closure, vague apologies that never fully acknowledged her deceit. Each time, I responded once politely, and then ignored further communication. There was no satisfaction in revenge, no need to make her feel my pain. My triumph lay in my calm, in my ability to continue without her, in the life I was reclaiming piece by piece. Then came the final shock. A month after the divorce was finalized, I received a letter from Emily's lawyer. It was not a demand, not a plea, but a statement. She wanted a joint settlement of certain assets she had left behind. A calculated, last attempt to rewrite the narrative, to salvage what she could. I read it quietly, then set it aside. My attorney confirmed that I had acted in full compliance, that she had no leverage, no claim to control my choices anymore. I sat back in my study, thinking about the wedding that had started it all. The dress, the laughter, the casual charm she carried home. It seemed innocuous at first, but it had been the signal of a change I had ignored too long. And yet, from that event, I had emerged stronger, more aware, more capable of defining my life on my own terms. The true shock wasn't her betrayal. It was in the revelation of my own resilience. I had faced the subtle erosion of love, the quiet invasion of my trust, and I had survived, not in anger, not in bitterness, but with a dignity that no wedding, no flirtation, no casual deceit could touch. Months later, I walked past the same neighborhood where she lived now, accompanied by friends I had made during this journey of rediscovery. She was visible through the window of her apartment, laughing with someone new, and I smiled not with bitterness, not with sorrow, but with a sense of finality, knowing I had chosen clarity over chaos, self-respect over betrayal, and freedom over a life that had quietly been stolen from me. Sometimes I think about the wedding, not with regret, not with longing, but with acknowledgement. A single night, a single event had changed everything, but it didn't destroy me. It revealed me, and in that revelation, I found a peace, sharp and unexpected, but wholly mine.